Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video lecture, we are going to solve questions of Payload chapter Keith Williams, question 21 to question 25. So let's begin. Question 21, similar questions similar to the previous questions. So again, performance takeoff mass, maximum takeoff mass, zero fuel mass, maximum landing mass, performance landing mass, basic empty mass are given to you, variable load is given, weight of one passenger is given, takeoff fuel, trip fuel are given to you. So to start with, make three columns. Step 1, one for takeoff mass, the second for landing mass, and the third one for zero fuel mass. Now in case of takeoff mass, you have to select the value which is least of performance limited takeoff mass, maximum structural takeoff mass, ramp minus taxi. So over here we have been given two values of takeoff masses, of takeoff mass, performance and maximum. Out of these two, 4750 is less value. So select 4750 here. Next, in case of landing mass, select the value which is less of performance limited landing mass, maximum structural limited landing mass, and add trip fuel to that. So that will be equal to what? Now in case of landing mass, we have maximum landing mass 4513 and performance landing mass 4400. So select 4400, add trip fuel to that. So trip fuel is 85 US gallons. 85 US gallon will be equal to 85 into 6, which is equal to 510. So 4400 plus 510 will be equal to 4910. In case of zero fuel mass column, formula is maximum zero fuel mass plus fuel on board, that is equal to 4100 plus fuel on board is 110 US gallon, and that is equal to 660 pound. So 4100 plus 660 equals to 4760 pounds. Okay. Now out of these three possible takeoff values, you have to select that value which is less in value, which is the least of all, which is the least of all in value, and that number is 4750. So regulated takeoff mass equals to 4750. Use the formula 4750 DOM plus fuel on board plus payload, right? So 4750 equals to DOM. Now what is DOM? DOM equals to basic empty mass, which is 3200, plus variable load, which is 200 plus 190, 390. So 3200 plus 390 is 3590, plus fuel on board is 660 plus payload. So payload will be equal to 4750 minus 3590 plus 660. So 4750 minus 3590 plus 660 is 4250. That is equal to 500 pounds. The correct answer is option alpha, 500 pounds. So question 21 is 500 pounds. Okay. Let's go to next question 22. Similar question. Again, performance, takeoff mass, maximum takeoff mass, zero fuel, so on and so forth are given to you. Start with making the columns for takeoff mass, landing mass, zero fuel mass. Okay. Now, in case of takeoff mass, you are going to take value which is less of maximum structural takeoff mass and performance limited takeoff mass. In case of landing mass, a value which is less of performance limited landing mass and maximum structural landing mass plus trip fuel. In case of zero fuel mass, maximum zero fuel mass plus fuel on board. Let's start. Now, in case of takeoff mass, two values 4800, 4750. Select 4750. In case of landing mass, two values again 4513 and performance landing mass 4400. So select 4400. Trip fuel is 85 US gallons. So 85 into 6 is equal to what? 510. 85 into 6 equals to 510 pounds. So 4400 plus 510, 4910, right? Next, maximum zero fuel mass is 4100. So 4100 plus fuel on board is a total of 110 US gallon, which is equal to 660 pounds. So 4100 plus 660 is 4760. Now we have three takeoff values 4750, 4910 and 4760. So the least of them all is 4750. That becomes our regulated takeoff mass. Okay, so next, regulated takeoff mass is equal to payload plus DOM plus fuel on board. So 4750 plus DOM. So DOM is not given directly, so DOM will be equal to BEM plus variable load. So basic empty mass is 3200, variable load is 200 and 190. So 3200 plus 390 equals to 3590. So 3590 is your DOM and fuel on board is 660. Therefore payload will be equal to 4750 minus 3590 plus 660, 4250, 500. So again 23. The performance limited takeoff mass of aircraft is 7800, takeoff mass 7750. So similar question. So let's start doing this again. Basically, again zero fuel mass is given, landing mass 2 are given, basic empty mass, variable loads are given, and two passengers each of mass 200 pound is given to you, plus a takeoff fuel load of 150 US gallon is given. What is the maximum allowable amount of cargo for this flight? If the trip fuel is 1120 US gallon and 13 pounds of fuel is to be used for startup and taxi. So now you have to find the amount of cargo here, right? So cargo is your now. So first you will get your traffic load. Let's find out traffic load, which is a combination of cargo and passengers. Okay, and we will subtract the value of passengers to get cargo. So, so let's start with the basics. Takeoff mass, landing mass, and zero fuel mass. Now, in case of takeoff mass, you have to select the value which is the least of the two, which is performance takeoff mass and maximum takeoff mass. And the less value is 7750. So 7750 is the first option. In case of landing mass, you have to select the values which is the less of performance limited landing mass and maximum landing mass. And that is 6513, 6400. So the value the lesser value is 6400. Add trip fuel to that. Now trip fuel is 120 US gallon. So 120 into 6. Okay. 120 into 6 is equal to 720 pounds. So 6400 plus 720. So your answer is 7120. Next, zero fuel mass. The formula is maximum zero fuel mass plus fuel on board. So maximum zero fuel mass is 5600. So 5600 plus fuel on board or takeoff fuel, which is 150 US gallon. So 150 into 6 is 900. So 5600 plus 900 is 6500. Now out of these three takeoff values, select the value which is the least in number, and that is 6500. So your regulated takeoff mass becomes 6500. Now 6500 equals to fuel on board plus dry operating mass plus your traffic load. So regulated takeoff mass is 6500. Fuel on board is this 900. DOM. Now again, DOM is not given to you directly. They have given you basic empty mass 4500. You have to add variable loads to basic empty mass in order to get DOM. So that is equal to 200 plus 190, 390. So 4500 plus 390 is 4890. So 4890, and then you get traffic load. So traffic load is equal to 6500 minus 4890 plus 900, 5790. So that is equal to 710 pounds. So your traffic load is 710. You have to find cargo load. Passenger load, there are two passengers, each of 200 pounds. So it will be equal to total of 400. So cargo that you can carry is 710 minus 400, which is 310 pounds. So correct answer is delta. Correct answer is delta. Okay. So yeah. So this is how you have to do this sum. They read the question carefully if they have asked you to find cargo or passenger load of both. Okay. Next question 24. Again a similar question. What is the amount of cargo that can be loaded on your aircraft which has 380 passengers each of 95 kg? Takeoff mass, zero fuel mass, landing mass, DOM. Okay, so here the data is limited. So let's make three columns for takeoff mass, landing mass, and zero fuel mass. In the column of takeoff, you will put takeoff value, which is 167. For landing mass, you are going to put landing mass value, which is 108. Add trip fuel to that, which is 33,000 kg, so 33. In case of zero fuel mass, you are going to use the zero fuel mass value, which is 102, 102. Add total fuel on board to that, or takeoff fuel, which is equal to 37,500, 37.5. So 108 plus 33 is equal to 141. 102 plus 37.5 is 139.5. Now out of these three takeoff values, you have to select the value which is the least in number, and that is your 139.5. So this becomes your regulated takeoff mass. Regulated takeoff mass is equal to fuel on board plus traffic load. Now payload, traffic load are interchangeable, but when a question specifically asks to find out cargo, it's better or it's better to specify traffic load here in this formula plus DOM. Now regulated takeoff mass is 139.5. Fuel on board is 37.5. Traffic load will find out. DOM is given to you directly now, 63,000, so 63. Therefore DOM will be equal to 139.5 minus 37.5 plus 63. Therefore DOM will be equal to 139.5 minus 100 and correction payload, right? So traffic load will be equal to 139.5 minus 100 and 100.5, which is 39.5 or 39,500. Okay. So now your traffic load is equal to cargo plus your passengers. So traffic load is 39.5. Cargo we have to find out. Passengers. Now there are 380 passengers, each weighing 95 kg. So total passenger weight will be 380 into 95, which is equal to 36,100. 36,100 or 36.1. 36.1. So I am writing 36.1 in this formula. The cargo will be equal to 39.5 minus 36.1, which is equal to 3.4, or so correction here, the value in the book they have taken is 300 passengers, is 300 passengers and not 380. So in case of 300 passengers, okay, so 39.5 minus 300 into 95, so that will come 300 into 95 is 28,500. So 39.5 minus 28.5 is 11 or 11 1000 kg. Okay, so the correct option will be option A. Correct option will be option A. Okay, the nearest option is 10,500. So select option A. Now here if with 380 passengers you will get the answer that I got previously. With 300 passengers you will get this answer. So this is how you do the sum. Next question 25. Last question for this video lecture. What is the maximum traffic load for the following aircraft? It has they have given you DOM, TOM, takeoff fuel, basic empty mass, landing mass. So we need to find the possible takeoff values using three tables, columns, takeoff mass, landing mass, zero fuel mass, right? So in place of takeoff mass, we are going to write 3650. In place of landing mass, we are going to write 3290 plus trip fuel. So trip fuel is not given to you. So we will have to leave it as it is. So without that, now we have only one value with us, which is 3650. So we will have to go ahead with this value only. So substitute this value in the formula. Regulated takeoff mass equals to payload or traffic load plus DOM plus total fuel on board or takeoff fuel. So 3650 equals to payload. DOM is 2200. Fuel on board is 390. So payload will be equal to 3650 minus 2200 plus 390. 3650. So 2200 plus 390 is 2590. Payload is 1060. Okay. So the correct option will be option A. Correct option will be option A. So with this question, we come to the end of this lecture. I hope you have understood all the 5 questions I did in this video lecture. If you have any doubts or questions, let me know in the comment box. I wish you all the best for your exams. Keep watching all the lectures. I'll see you in the next video.